Well, hello and welcome back, everybody. This is another USL Local Media Roundtable. I'm your host, Riccardo, and I'm joined by some great fellas, mediocre one. I'm kidding. I'm joined with Nick Rosser at Linners and Wosers. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing good today. I'm excited. Season's about to start. Can't wait.
Yeah, season is just a few days away. We're on the road. We'll definitely go ahead and chat about that. We're playing Lexington, and that's John's specialty. John, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Happy to see you again. It's been a few weeks since we last potted.
Yeah, it's been a minute for me. But
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, I'm sure you had a busy last few weeks here, constantly seeing you update wiki pages and constantly on Twitter providing us all this awesome info.
Was the most random thing to happen last night because I had gotten bored. No lie, I was just bored between my semesters of grad school and the off seasons, and my brain was just like, I need to do something. So I looked at the Wikipedia page and it was like barren, like it had nothing about the new stadium, all this type of stuff. It was so ancient. I was like, I'll just update this, and then randomly Geo found my little rivalry update and it took off.
It would be Geo.
That's a new level of lower league sicko updating.
Yeah, speaking of, you're gonna update your team's pages. Apparently, using the actual press releases from teams is too much primary material. They want journal and secondary material.
So you gotta start your own soccer news website. Copy and paste the press release onto there, and then use that.
One of their moderator or whatever messaged me. I was like, why? Is the stuff from the actual team not good enough? And they're like, well, we gotta check. I was like, it's from the team. It's official.
But it's also promotional.
Yeah.
A little bit. I'm also joined here by Rob from the Talkin Flock podcast, also with a nice scarf background. I see a few of you guys got a handful of scarves in the back. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing great, Riccardo. How are you doing, man?
Doing good. Really excited to go ahead and see you guys' pink kits this season. I had insane troubles recording a video yesterday and saying the word pink kits. Kept saying kids, keys. Just couldn't get it down.
We're very excited.
Very excited. And as always, joined by one of the legends of the USL League One communities, Bryan from League One on the Rocks. How are you, Bryan?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here, guys. I appreciate you guys holding roundtables. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is the last roundtable that we will go ahead and be doing right before the season starts. Again, season starts March 9th with 3 exciting games. And we just can't wait. I feel like this offseason has gone slow, but at the same time fast. Now that you look back at it, when it's like League One day one was just yesterday, but no, it was last year, a couple months ago. But I just wanted to go ahead and see before we go ahead and get started with all the good stuff, guys. We'll be chatting here about the preseason discussions, each of our teams, how we did, just our general thoughts there. A little bit on the new acquisition, some of the new players that came in. If any of us have had a chat with any of the new people, we can go ahead and share here. We'll go ahead and let our feelings out to say when we go ahead and talk about this U.S. Open Cup, but mostly just go ahead and talk about the fixtures that are ahead of us for our teams, and then maybe just get towards the end, start talking about some individual honors and some team honors, some of our predictions here and there. It's always fun to go ahead and do that. But before we go ahead and get started, I wanted to go ahead and see if anyone is drinking anything special. I'm not. Just the water. Just the water.
I have New Glarus, but it's not Spotted Cow. It's No Coast LL.
Yeah,
Love
contrary to what I put in the group chat for this, I'm drinking water tonight too. So
no Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper. Zero.
I thought about going up and getting one out of the garage, but I decided against it.
Good call.
That's a big.
Yeah, half a gallon.
There you go.
Do you get through that all in one day, or do you find yourself refilling it multiple times a day?
I go through 2 of them a day. I drink about
nice.
a gallon a day.
Staying hydrated.
Try to.
Staying hydrated.
Physical job. Got to.
I'm just picturing that Cristiano Ronaldo press conference where he moves the Coca-Cola away, but instead it's you putting this big jug of water in the middle. Just stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Awesome. But again, as always, it's always great to have everyone here. Before we go ahead and get started, again, just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to all of you, and then how all of our listeners and viewers can go ahead and find you online. We'll start with Nick. I know, Nick, you have a personal account, the Outlets account, but just a quick shout.
Oh yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at LWNickR. You can see my outlandish takes about MLS out there. You can see me yelling at people, or you can see my fun takes about Hailstorm. That's where you get me. And then if you want to see any Hailstorm information, it's at Hail Yeah Outlet. Just a bunch of stats and facts around that. I'm actually doing some little work with the Lexington one as well. Been running some Lexington stuff, so I've been doing the Lex Go outlet as well. So you can catch me hyping Lexington up this season too, except when they play Hailstorm. So trying to get a little more League One love out there to other teams. We'll slowly be adding other teams. We know Tim, if you know him as Ranting Blue Penguin, he does the Omaha one. We'll slowly add more teams. It's gonna be fun. Just getting more info out to people out there. So
yeah. And then on the topic of Lexington, again, I'm just gonna sweep over to you, John. How can our listeners and viewers find you online? What's the best way?
I'm on Twitter at J_Hunt 23, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe 1123. I don't know. I'm forgetting my Twitter handle right now because I use so much variation with that username. But I'm on there with my really whatever I see on Twitter takes for the day.
Yeah. I'm glad we had a little discussion about the Nashville SC supporter section allowing the Inter Miami. It's interesting. I didn't think that conversation would get all the way down to USL League One, but even we were upset about it.
Cash grab.
Yeah.
And it's even funnier that Tito Martinez came out and says, like, oh yeah, Messi and Suarez are not playing tomorrow.
brutal.
Prices are already inflated, so disappointing to the fans who bought them ahead of time. But Bryan, let us know, our viewers and listeners, how can they go ahead and find you online?
Yeah. So if you find me on Twitter, it's at mediocre_ace. And then the pod account, me and Rich both take care of the pod Twitter account. So at ONetherockspod for that one. You usually see show updates for that one, and my personal one, you'll see anything. I mean, I've been doing soccer stuff. I've been doing Helldiver stuff. So a little bit of my personal actual account. So,
Ooh, we might have to squad up if you're on PlayStation.
I'm on PC.
Oof. Okay. Get the nice resolution. But you mentioned your show here at League One on the Rocks. Is there going to be a schedule that you guys are going to constantly post these videos, or is it on the fly? What can you share with our listeners?
Yeah, we usually record Wednesdays or Thursdays. It's changed a little bit since Rich moved on and moved up in the world to actually be in the front office of a club, down in Tormenta. So usually we shoot for Wednesdays or Thursdays. So we'll be recording a show tomorrow. I still don't have a time nailed down yet, but at some point tomorrow.
Yeah, always exciting to go ahead and tune in to your guys' episodes. Tuned in last week to your guys' season prediction. You had Billy King out there, and I think Alex was mentioning a Noka player that I was just the first 20 minutes. I was like, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yep.
And also Rob, how can our listeners and viewers go ahead and find you online?
On Twitter and on Instagram, I'm at Rob Chappell 365. For the show, it's at Talkin Flock on both of those places, and I have talkinflock.substack.com for the newsletter, and that's been just updates and whatever new signings and stuff like that. And then I'm going to publish game recaps there as well.
Now, big news last week, I want to say someone's joining the pod with you as a co-host.
Yeah, I got myself a co-host, Alex Alvarado. He's a young guy, much younger than I am, and he's an assistant coach at Madison College, which is the community college here in Madison that has a pretty darn good soccer program. And he does some youth coaching as well. So he's going to bring that sort of, and he's a goalkeeper. And so he's going to bring that sort of analytical eye to the match analysis. I'm really excited about that. And he's also, I should mention too, he's on Instagram at XTT_608. He's got a platform called Extra Time Talent where it's he's amplifying local players, local programs, local clubs through video on Instagram, and it's pretty fantastic.
Interesting. You mentioned he's an assistant coach, or you said head coach at Madison College?
He's the assistant coach at Madison College and head coach at the Madison 56ers, which is one of the higher level clubs here in Madison.
Has he had any of his players go and try out for Forward Madison?
No, I don't think they've had. Well, maybe, I don't know. I guess I don't know. They haven't had a lot of Madison College kids try out. Since 2019. They had one kid from Madison College who tried out, who made the roster through open tryout. But they haven't really since then. But I know they are working on a collaborative thing where basically for Madison, before the women's team gets here, before the Division I team gets here, we absolutely must have a full-size indoor training facility.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and I know, I don't know much detail, but I know they're in talks with Madison College, which is sort of on the east side of town, to maybe co-build something like that, which would be very cool.
Cool. Brian, John, I want to go ahead and ask you, does your guys' club have an indoor training facility, or do you guys rent out a local one?
Lex has two. As our owner Shively had already owned a indoor facility that just ran indoor games, indoor leagues, that type of thing. And he when they announced the club, he just went, "Oh yeah, by the way, this thing now, this is just Lexington Indoor 1, and the other site is 2." So I know the club will train there occasionally on indoors, but I know also Powell prefers to train in the elements if he can.
Sure. I'm not sure what the weather is like down there, if it gets cold like Madison and Windsor. So
we don't get crazy cold, but we can have our weather.
And Brian, any indoor facilities?
Yes. As far as Omaha goes, yeah, they have one indoor facility that's actually 5 minutes away from my house. My son actually trained there when he was with Sporting Kansas City Academy. That's up here. But just that one, though, I know they'll bounce between that and 2 other sites that are all kind of spread across town if they're not practicing in Warner Park, which isn't always viable because of baseball. But yeah, they've got a few places, and then they'll train at the indoor facility in the winter and stuff like that. So
exciting. Nick, you have a comment to say about the bubble? I mean, we got the chance to see it a few weeks ago. It's nice.
Yeah, I just think when you have an indoor facility, especially in Colorado, it's super nice because you don't really get those snowed out days. You still have opportunity to train indoors, and then it's also good for the community because there's a bunch of futsal courts in there and volleyball, basketball. So it's a massive bubble. It has a full-size soccer field. So I just think it's a positive thing, and it's nice that it's on site.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and jump in straight into the preseason discussion here. Surely everyone's preseason is wrapped up. There's no way you guys are throwing an extra game here before the 9th. But you guys are?
Yeah, we got one actually on the 9th.
Only half the league is playing this weekend.
Interesting. I didn't know if they had to go ahead and stop.
Knox is playing Lou City this weekend in their preseason.
And yeah, sorry, I didn't know if the league, kind of forced everyone to just stop once week 1 started there, and then you just kind of have closed door friendlies here and there. It sounds like Omaha, you have one. Rob, you?
We have one more on the 9th at noon at St. Louis City too.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead. I'll hand it over to you, Nick, if you want to just go ahead and just your general thoughts here on our preseason here. I know we got to see against Peak 11 and Rapids 2 in person. We kept up with the Twitter updates for Switchbacks DU, PCS, and then that Ghost Harpo's game. But we did cover a lot of it on our NOCO 2024 season preview. So just, I guess, a quick summary. If they want the full details, they can go ahead and watch our video.
Yeah, I think it's just preseason results don't really matter, but Hailstorm went undefeated in theirs, and I think out of all their tests, I think they did well in the ones I wanted to see, and for the most part, they scored a lot of goals in every game, which is a good sign of preseason. Results not don't matter as much, but if your team's putting together, passes and able to get goals, I think that's a way better sign going into a season. So I think that's what Hailstorm did. For the games I went to, I saw Ethan Horde in both Peak 11 and against Rapids 2, and he was electric in both. I'm super excited for this kid, to be honest. I think he might really break into the Hailstorm squad, and so I think those are the biggest positives coming out of our preseason.
Yeah, you mentioned Ethan Horde, a trialist that tried out for Nickel Hailstorm FC, and he was just phenomenal to go ahead and watch. Kind of excited to go ahead and see him this year, and I'm glad that we signed a trialist. It's always great to go ahead and see that journey from someone working straight from the bottom, working hard, and then fitting in with the guys. Brian, I'll move on to you here. Other than the Switchbacks games, you guys, Omaha traveled here. You guys have had a pretty positive offseason as well. Can you go ahead and share a little bit about your thoughts, what you saw from the team?
Yes, so Omaha went and they won every match except for the Switchbacks, which they ended up losing 3-2. They were all closed doors as far as me being there, just because they were all out of town, or closed door if they were here. So didn't get a chance to see them. But on Saturday, Omaha is playing the University of Nebraska at Omaha and Creighton University, both in 2 friendlies. So luckily for me, it is closed door. But as I've said in the past, the University of Omaha's soccer field is overlooked by a big parking garage that you can just happen to see the entire field from the top of. So I'm going to see about going down there and getting some preseason action, even though it's not really sanctioned by the team, quote unquote.
You guys do tailgates up there? Do they do tailgates up there? Would it be weird if there's just a barbecue going on, some good times watching?
So yeah, last season we played our first 2 games at Canigula Field, which is Omaha's a field. So yeah, there was some tailgating going on up at the top, but not too much. We'll see how lenient they are about it on Saturday. It might be I got to walk around campus for a little bit first just to make sure. But
yeah, I understand that. And you did mention that all the games in Omaha were closed door except for the ones on the road. Yeah, the Colorado Springs Switchbacks game was open to the public, not just season ticket members. Fortunately, I couldn't make it. I decided to watch the first Grand Prix of F1, and as a Ferrari fan, it just sucks, man. Max is too good. But that's a conversation for another show. If you guys are F1 fans, we'll have a conversation for that. Rob,
Yeah.
Tell us how Madison is doing this offseason. I'm feeling really good about one of your players this season. I hope you saw it, but please share with us.
The preseason action has been difficult for a couple of reasons. First of all the games are away and kind of too far. I mean, I could probably drive to St. Louis if I really wanted to, but I kind of don't want to. But we didn't get our Minnesota United game because of illnesses on both sides, as well as some scheduling issues. So they basically had a glorified training session with Minnesota United 2. Didn't really play a match. Beat Chicago Fire 2 3-1, which is really promising. I wasn't there. I didn't get to see it. It was closed door and it was in Chicago. But it looked, from what I've heard, it was very positive. Faraday Sosa got a goal. I think Jacob Kroll got a goal, and I think Wolfie Prentice also scored, which is all very positive. But then we were supposed to play Indy 11, and that got rescheduled. They said it was a scheduling issue. I think they just saw how we dismantled Chicago, and we're like, they don't want to do it. And I hope that we get our final preseason match in St. Louis. I just think there's no substitute for 90 minutes of football, right? So it's a little disappointing. We've only had one actual friendly match this preseason, so I don't love that. But it sounds like things are positive. What I like is that most of the team has been here. We only had a handful of trialists in those friendlies, so there's very few roster decisions yet to make. The roster is going to start coming together. Everyone is here except Sharif J. He's the only one with all the paperwork's in place. He's going to get here. It's just there's always a delay with somebody getting a visa. But Augustine Davila is here just in the past week or so. And the team's going to start to gel. So I'm feeling pretty positive. Back when I was I was a theater major in college. And we always said that if you have a really bad dress rehearsal, that's a really good sign you're going to have a great opening night. So having a rough preseason, I think, is bodes well for us.
Sorry about that. Geez, I lost my train of thought. I'm just going to edit this part out. Sorry, I had a question and I just lost it there. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to move on. I lost my question. If I get it, I'll come back. And talking about a good offseason, probably the team that has won the offseason cup award, if there was a thing, I would give it to you. John, tell us a little bit here about Lexington. What is there more to say about this offseason, this preseason you guys have had?
That we had I wouldn't call it a stellar preseason. We did lose 2 matches, one of which was to a college team and then an AIA team, but that squad was largely that was a doubleheader day. And so that squad was largely youth and academy kids playing in that match. But overall, they had a good preseason. We beat Columbus Crew to open it up. We tied Lou City. The only other loss was to Indy 11, who's a really good team up in the championship. We beat UK and then Georgetown, who's the team we share their field with. But it's a lot of experimenting. I only got to see the Lou City game, and even that was like the tale of like 3 technical halves because they did like the 45-45, 30 type deal. But like Nick said, it's preseason. It doesn't really matter. Yes, our roster looks really good and awesome, but games still have to be played. And so we'll see how it shapes out now.
Yeah, well said, guys. Preseason doesn't really mean much. That even translates to the MLS level after the Rapids won all these offseason games and then 1-1, conceded 5, 2 goals for.
It's
all around.
I understand the fans that like want the games to be open to the public. And I agree that they should be open to the public. If they don't want to stream it, whatever. But the game should at least be open for people to come watch. But you're really not going to see much. Like I got to go to the Lou City Lex game. When I tell you there was a point where they all huddled and there was like 8-man swaps and they fully changed formation in like this little 5-minute huddle. And it's like, oh, anything I just learned is just out the window because both teams had like, when it was doing it legit, like Lou played their like what seemed to be their main strikers, but with their like backup back line, and Lex did the same thing. I was like, I'm not learning anything from this. They're experimenting. I got to look at a set piece chart because I was just near the bench. That's about as much as I learned. It was like I can see Lexington's set pieces, or their plan at least.
Yeah, I wonder if one of the reasons or a factor that they do close these preseason matches has to do with maybe some of these trialists having consent to be recorded or seen by fans. I mean, I know Hailstorm has had a few trialists play these matches for Hailstorm and the opposing team, and then we didn't sign them. So it could be a little bit misleading for fans to show up and then see some trialists play, and then, your team concedes a few goals, and then you're like, what the heck is this? Is this the right direction? But again, it is preseason. This is an opportunity for the team to start gelling together, build that chemistry, understand the strength, develop the tactical, system that your coach is implementing. But the season starts March 9th, so we can go ahead and start being critical and analyzing these games seriously once they get on TV and live. I just remembered my question here this is not only for you, Rob, but actually for Brian as well. During the preseason, nationally televised games were announced, 3 for USL League One, one including the to be determined USL League One. Rob, you guys get the host, correct? The Henny Derby with Richmond Kickers coming to. No?
Our first home match is Henny Derby, and the one on CBS Sports is going to be the one on July 3rd in Richmond.
So gotcha. You guys will be going to
Right. We
Richmond.
get to be on linear TV for the first time ever.
And then Brian, you guys get to face off against newcomers of the league, Spokane Velocity. Is that a game you guys are hosting or traveling to?
That is one that Omaha is traveling to. So that'll be in Spokane.
Gentlemen, any plans to go ahead and make those games to be on TV? I know it's far. I know it's very far.
Mine, no. That's a Wednesday game for me. So I'm not going to take off work to go out to Spokane as much as I'd love to. It's just not really in the cards around that time.
They're both Wednesday games. We got the mid, but we're on Golazzo.
Hey,
so that works out.
Hey, don't worry, I'm going to be there when Hailstorm's in the final, so I'll be at that one.
You're going to travel to Lexington to lose?
As long as we're on TV. That's all that matters.
As long as we're on this channel that's like on the fringes of anyone's cable package, that is like the hardest to watch channel on the face of the earth.
Well, Can I just say one thing that I talked about in my most recent special episode? I went to the USL preseason press conference, and I was a little surprised that this when the CBS deal was announced, I thought they would put 100 matches in the bottom of Paramount Plus, like just kind of like round out the catalog on Paramount Plus, because Paramount Plus has some pretty good soccer. It's got NWSL, it's got Women's Gold Cup, it's got Champions League, but actually. Now, not only are they putting them on CBS, on Golasso, as well as CBS Sports Network, which is like on cable, they're also talking about USL on the Golasso show.
Yeah.
They're creating conversation around USL and telling stories, and they've already had Ben Pierman on. They're going to have Todd Donovan on soon from Sacramento, and that's huge. That's massive. Sports is a TV show. I used to work in politics. We used to say, if it's not on TV, it didn't happen. So the fact that not only they're just dumping the games on there for whoever happens to want to watch them, but they're actually getting punditry to talk about it and tell the stories beyond the 90 minutes. That's just massive for the league, and it shows that the league and that CBS are really kind of all in on this, which is great.
Yeah, and that causes like a ripple effect too, because you'll get creators like us looking at these videos that are even. Let's say, okay, let's say not as many people are watching the CBS Golasso show, but we can create content with what they're using and spread it through social media that way. And that's why I think it's important that they are going to be at least broadcasted for eyes to see, and then content to be created as well from it.
Yeah, it only sucks that we're the second division of USL, so we're still getting.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first season, so who knows? Down the line, they could be doing one of those team previews that Apple TV does, where it's an episode each week where they talk about each player. Who knows? The possibilities are endless.
Those 2-minute, like most basic reporting possible videos. I've watched those. Some of those are cringe. Some of the questions in those are cringe.
Yeah,
I get it. It's content. There's got to start somewhere, but some of that stuff is just like, and Golazzo has issues too. Like when they were covering the Asian Cup, like Iraq beat Japan, and they're like, "Is this the best win in their history?" When the country had won the Asian Cup before, like this is a group stage match, and that's my own one worry is that these people are gonna get up there, but they're not gonna like have background knowledge. They're just gonna be like fed these questions to ask.
I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm pretty open to discussion if they want to go ahead and find out more information or get some more deets and stuff. We are open. I mean, I know
This looks like a pretty good pundit panel for the Golasso show right here.
That's what I'm thinking. Got to
Give
be
me a
more
voodoo,
fellas,
and I'm there.
Listen, I watch Golazzo because I get it free with my Roku. They need late night stuff because it's like Sports Center where they run the same thing over and over. I don't care if I'm on at 1 a.m. I'm on TV.
Learn everything about Noku. 4 a.m.
USL After Dark. That's where you throw us on after 11 p.m.
I'm down.
I'm there.
But I want to wrap up our preseason discussion here. If anyone has anything they want to go ahead and mention about any of the teams that we haven't talked about, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're only a third of the league here. I know I will go ahead and say you could probably go ahead and find Benji Wade at the Spokane Soccer Show, where he's been doing an insane amount of coverage this preseason about the new club that's joining USL League One. It's really exciting to see. We didn't really know what that was going to go ahead and look like from both the club perspective and, you know, who's the supporter group, who's covering the team, but he's like a fountain of knowledge about that team, constantly bringing us content here. As always, Alex Ashton, League One updater, not only covering the full league, but also Richmond Kickers. I want to give another quick shout out to, man, there's so many podcasts. I want to give a quick shout out to Walking 90 Pod, USL League. Oh my God.
One League Under the Sea.
One League Under the Sea. I always throw the USL part in there and it throws me off, but they don't have that. One League Under the Sea.
USL
the
League
Alfego
One
Pod.
review.
Yeah, USL
All
League One
of them.
review. John. So a lot of great content creators, a lot of great journos, a lot of great just individuals who will go ahead and be bringing us USL League One content throughout the season. So,
sorry, Rico. El Fuego Pod had a terrific interview with Jermaine Jones this week.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
really. I think only Tormenta and Charlotte really don't have a dedicated podcast to them. Charlotte gets kind of swooped up in this like Charlotte soccer one, but it's more focused on like the MLS team, and like I guess Rich counts for Tormenta now, but they're League One on the Rocks is more of a league dedicated podcast than like a club specific one.
Which is interesting. I mean, the MLS team has like 80,000 fans coming to the games. You'd think there's at least 1 or 2 guys who just love the lower league and think about it. Maybe we can go ahead and
love. They gave one of them gave my article the other day some love, but it's just like Charlotte, the independents are like kind of there. They're like having to cover so much.
Yeah. But that will go ahead and wrap up our preseason discussion. And now I think we can go ahead and let's wrap it up here with new players first. Then we'll get to the good stuff, the steak of the conversation. But a lot of new players joining teams, moving around teams. Some players made the jump from USL League One to the Championship and vice versa. Most notably, a Lexington acquisition from the USL Championship. Tell us a little bit about Lexington's, I don't want to say spending, but recruiting, signing, off-season new players. John, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Where do you want me to start?
Go ahead and let's mention some of the new
That's
players.
what I'm saying. Where do you want me to start? We've picked up 3 or 4 guys with championship experience, from Modesto and EB on the back line to we grabbed Lou Young from North Carolina last year. We picked up Jorge Corrales, who has MLS experience and is a Cuban international alongside Modesto. We picked up a Maltese international from the Maltese Premier League in Yannick Yankim. We picked up Jane and Onan, which Rob is probably very upset about. We kept Diouf, we kept Robertson, we picked up Cameron Lancaster, who's the highest goal scorer in Lou City history, even with stints at Nashville and having injury history. Like, he's the highest goal scorer they've ever had. we picked up Azad Liadi from Huntsville City, and where he scored 12 goals for their MLS Next Pro side. Like, our goalkeeper room, we brought in a New England Revolution 2 keeper, and Nico Camposano, who is our third choice keeper probably right now, if I had to guess. We are just like stacked right now, and that's not even including Anthony Patti, who we brought in from Nisa, or Mikel Akbula, who we brought in from Wolverhampton's system. It's just like, I honestly don't know if we pick an 18 right now.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but a new coach, a pretty good coach as well, Darren Powell.
Yeah, Brian Powell. I'm kind of talking about the team, and he's here, and we've touched on Powell before. We're talking about the players he brought in. And he's not new to the league either. He's been around USL and USL 1 before. So this is kind of his return stint.
Yeah, hopefully on a positive. Nick, I'll go ahead and say a few Hailstorm players, and then you here. I know a few of the players that we brought in that from the league on loan from One Knox, Jake Keegan. We brought in from promoted side North Carolina FC, David Garcia, center back. From the championship, Johnny Fenwick. And then from forward Madison, Isidro Chelo Martinez. Who else did we bring in from the league? I think those are about it. The others are from outside the league. We've had one player signing fail, I guess, fall through. I'm sure as you guys saw that tweet from Northern Colorado Hailstorm. And then Ethan Horde, trialist. But a few other players that I've not mentioned. I'll leave it up to you, Nick, here. Those are also some great players from outside the league that are coming in.
Yeah, I think Real Hilo is exciting. He looked really good against Rapids. When we were playing Rapids 2, it was mostly Rapids first team bench players in the first half, and he was probably like Hailstorm's #1 outlet going forward, and he looks really exciting coming into the league. And then just the other one was Ethan Horde. He 5 goals in preseason. Absolute menace versus Rapids 2 as well, and I can't wait for him to come alive as a professional. So definitely I think Hailstorm may have, you can't directly replace Trevor Amon and Arthur Rogers 1-1, but maybe hopefully brought enough players to bring in some goals together and create more chances, just instead of just having those 2 outlets be it.
And we also brought in Russell Sheely as a goalkeeper to go ahead and push Lalo Delgado. We brought in from Australia, we brought in Patrick Langlois as well. Great guy, awesome laughs. But exciting. I think we brought in a total of 8 now. It was 9 with Brahima Ouattara, and unfortunately he won't be part of Hailstorm this year just due to visa conflicts. So unfortunate there, but still an exciting group to go ahead and start off the 2024 campaign with. Brian, I'll leave the floor to you here. Tell us a little bit here about the new players. I know you've also had a rough departure, just like Hailstorm here. Some players leaving, some quality ones, but bringing in some good ones and someone coming back to Union Omaha.
A few of them.
Yeah. So I'll go kind of quick through them. I mean, we got quite a few guys coming either from MLS Next Pro or coming down from Championship. So some of your big ones, real big ones, PC coming from San Antonio FC, huge, playing left back, and stealing one from you guys, Nortai Norty, coming over to Omaha from Northern Colorado Hailstorm. Jose Gomez coming in as well from El Paso Locomotive, and kind of a depth signing, a younger signing. Mark Bronick coming from the Barca Residency Academy is also one that a lot of guys are super excited about, for sure, myself included. And our big kind of star from preseason is our striker, Adam. And I'm going to butcher your name, Adam. I think it's Amiak, if that's right. I'll have to look at the pronunciation guide as soon as I get it. But coming out of Marshall, he scored quite a few goals for us already in preseason. But one that really strikes me and is really kind of close to my heart is Ryan Jiba coming back. He had some injury troubles last season. You got guys who listened to the league before knows that he went up to play with Minnesota United. Was kind of our big signing to go straight up to MLS. Looks like maybe a rehab stint or something like that, but he comes back to Omaha, and I'm more than happy to have him back. So Omaha really over the past few weeks have really stepped up their defensive depth, which was a big issue for them last season, and also added quite a few strikers as well. So Omaha's rounded out their roster really well, and I know I've said it on Twitter earlier when all these signings were getting announced, but they're definitely reloading for this season.
They're also bringing back Blake Malone, correct? From
Blake
RG.
Malone, yes, yep,
he was touted from Colorado fans because we're in the region as a player they wanted to jump to the first team after a very impressive stint for the Rapids too, and they won the West last year for MLS Next Pro, so that he had a quality season. So just another defensive great player returning to Omaha.
Yeah, it's really nice to see guys making the jump back. I don't know if it's necessarily we offered him a ton of money or if he just wanted to come back, but I know he was getting a lot of bench minutes for us while he was here, and then tons of potential. You could kind of see it when he played, and from what I've heard as well from Colorado fans is he's a really great and much improved player from when he first got there. So excited to see what he can do too, because our depth was an issue on defense last season. It does not look like they're going to make that same mistake this season.
Good. And Rob, before I open up the floor to you, after some of our teams poached a lot of your good players here, you still have some quality talent on the team, as always, looking to reinforce. Can you share with us a little bit here about all the new players coming to Madison? I can't unmute you. There we go.
I can unmute myself. So Matt, in the offseason, really intentionally built a roster out of guys with USL League One experience. So we do have a handful of guys that are coming from Championship. We played Championship last season. Michael Chalaka played for San Diego Loyal. Faraday Sousa played for Sac Republic. And Wolfgang Prentice is on loan from Oakland Roots, but Sousa and Wolfgang especially have League One experience. And then the bigger names that we're adding are guys that have been bothering us for years. That Devin Boyce and Juan Galindres and Jimmy Villalobos and Sharif J. These are names that if you follow League One at all, those are very familiar names, and that's the point. That's like, I know these guys. I know how they play. I know how to play against them. Now I learn how to play with them. But they are used to the rhythm of this league. They're used to the travel requirements of this league, which are unusual, and that's just very intentional. The biggest, sort of the most exciting signing maybe, that is not from American soccer yet, is Agustin Davila from Uruguay. He played for the Uruguay youth international squad, the U20 team and the U17, and has played professionally in the first and second tiers in Uruguay and in Ecuador. So has a lot of experience, and will probably be kind of a number 10, a creator more than a scorer. But we're very excited about him. So I'm feeling good.
I think it kind of goes under the radar, but I remember Cheney announcing he was leaving Madison, and then you guys being able to retain his services again was also just a huge off-season move, because I truly thought he was gone. I was seeing which championships teams he might jump up to, and he's one of the best League One goal scorers in the league. So just being able to retain his services is great.
And what I love about Christian Cheney is that he creates as many as he scores. He's a big body. He's not a poacher. He's not sitting on top of the six waiting for the pass to come in. He's creating goals with his physical strength. He's muscling guys off the ball. And he's creating possession, and he's retaining possession. He'll drop deep and do hold up type play, and so he's very versatile in that way. So even when he wanted 20 goals last year, and we knew that was lofty, but he scored I think 11 or 12, and but created almost as many. So you put him there along with Galindres right behind him, or Jay, or whoever else you put with him. I think we're doing good.
Hopefully this year's he hits the 20. I need him to. I'll tell you that right now. So, but that will go ahead and just wrap up all of the new players for our teams. I want to go ahead and open up to anybody. Are there any of the other teams that signed new players that our listeners, viewers should go ahead and take a look at?
Greenville brought in some homegrown talent like Sebastian Velasquez. That's his name, I'm believing correctly. Is a big Greenville legend. He played really well with Indy 11 and even Real Salt Lake. I believe I heard on Brandon's podcast that he was the first JUCO player to be drafted to the MLS.
Huh.
So that's the big name coming to Greenville. That's a case of does he still got it though? Charlotte is looking not as good. Some of their contracts haven't worked out. They haven't brought back some people. They have a big question left at striker. Richmond's largely returning the same crew from last year. A bunch of guys on multi-year deals and really young guys. So we'll see how they do. Knoxville is going to be annoying to play again. They have another team of where's the goals going to come from, because they literally had the best defense in the league last year and signed 4 center backs. So they're going to be interesting. Chattanooga is being slept on. They got a bunch of guys. They're going to be real interesting, especially if they can play like they were doing at the end of last year. Spokane is Spokane. Everyone they got is new. So we'll see how they turn out. Fuego is also Fuego. They brought on a whole host of crew, but a lot of them are kind of unproven in USL college guys. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they turn out.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Spokane goes, I know one that I'm really upset that Union Omaha missed and went up there was Luis Heel. I mean, he was up there in the assist leaders. I think he finished second or third place. So he's going to be a big facilitator for them up there. And I think if they can kind of build something where he's the first option as far as assists go, I think that's really going to help them out this season.
Absolutely. I think One Knox also has a sneaky forward they signed that has he scored an obscene amount of goals in NAIA that I know Brandon was very interested in, and so I'm just they could have some talent out there. I'm not sure though about One Knox still, but he could be a sneaky one. I forgot his name though.
Well, that will go ahead and wrap up our discussion here on the new players that not only our team is bringing in, but also just some of the other teams that John here mentioned. And so we will go ahead and move on to our favorite competition, it seems like the last few months. It's the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. New format going into 2024 after MLS, U.S. Soccer Federation, and the U.S. Open Cup Committee, I guess, were able to finally negotiate a format. I can't believe a competition like that. I can't believe you negotiate. It's obscure, but nevertheless, the newcomers to the U.S. Open Cup are the 11 MLS Next Pro teams. That does include the Rapids 2 team that we did see on Sunday. 8 MLS teams coming back to U.S. Open Cup, including last year's winners in the Houston Dynamo. And the other 7 are not just any MLS team. They're not the top ones. They're not the bottom ones. It's the 7 best that are not in CCC. And so I think we see the likes of Sporting Kansas City, Minnesota United, just to name a few unless someone has a list right in front of them.
No,
I
Minnesota
think
United
Atlanta's in there.
too. It's
Right.
Atlanta.
I've got Atlanta, FC Dallas, LAFC, Houston, Sporting Kansas City, Real Salt Lake, San Jose, and the Sounders.
It's all like
Sounders.
the mid people from last year because it was the top 7 in the Shield race that aren't in the CCC plus Houston was how it was decided.
Yeah.
And Nick and I had this discussion here a few days ago. Now that we see less of these MLS teams, some MLS Next Pro teams joining us, is there a significant rise in our chances for any of the USL clubs, not just League One, for championship now to go ahead and win, end that MLS streak that they've been having for the last 2 decades?
There's
I
a
think-
chance, but like you still have LAFC, you still have the Sounders, you still have these like good teams. Like LAFC was in the MLS Cup final last year.
Yeah.
So
And just the way they have it set up, MLS won't play a USL team until they have to, or something like that. So I mean,
they're
they're
entering
go-
around 32. Yeah, they're
so
8
USL teams are gonna beat each other up anyway. And I was going through like all the additions, and I don't think I've seen an addition in a while where 8 MLS teams were beaten by USL sides. In the long run, so it's usually like MLS knocking out MLS. So I'm still curious to see, and I think these 2 teams are going to be. I think they're lying about congestion. I think they're going to be sneaky. That 2 team we saw the Rapids play Hailstorm with, all those guys had a match the night before with against Nashville, and then all of a sudden they're in Hailstorm playing these boys that afternoon. I think that's the 2 team we're going to see in the Open Cup. Not a single player in that starting lineup was actually on the 2 team, and so I think we're going to be seeing sneaky like that, just so you can have those arguments later. This is my
can't.
tinfoil hat, but
The thing is, they can't drop those players down though. There's like rules about it, type deal. I think that's different for preseason versus thing. We'll see when it comes to the Open Cup, but we'll definitely see where the lines draw between League One and NISA and MLS Next Pro with this, because after this first round where we all play amateur teams, we all face each other again before championship comes in. So I think you'll definitely see where like this 3 Division 3 team leagues stack up against each other.
Well, if there's anything I've learned for the last few weeks is that this line is not solid in place. It can be pushed around by the big fellas in U.S. soccer, Major League Soccer. So I wouldn't put it off the table if they somehow managed to throw down some first team players, but hopefully not, because that Rapids 2 team that played in the second half was absolute cheeks, and Hailstorm was able to go ahead and come back from 1-0 down and beat them 2-1. So if we get to see some actual MLS Next Pro teams that are fielding their MLS Next Pro kids, because these are not, I don't want to say these are mid-20s or late 20s or early 30 guys. A lot of them are just kids, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20, 21 at the most. Yeah, they have a few players here and there, but if you're at the older age playing in MLS Next Pro, I'm sorry, you're washed. Okay. And so better chance for you would, would be coming to USL. But another thing I just wanted to go ahead and point out, if any team is playing LAFC in the final, given last year, I wouldn't be too worried. Okay. They seem to choke a lot in the finals, and hopefully that carries over into this year, or even better, hopefully it's snowing during the final in the middle of the summer. Let's just throw the snow in there, somewhere cold. But let's talk about our opponents here that we'll be seeing. No draw, no first round draw. It all happened closed doors. It's all different from what I've heard between each team. When they found out who their opponent and announce it, not consistent. I remember last year on my iPad, I was watching the draw. It was so much fun. Hopefully they go ahead and do that again here this year. and it was just a one-off thing for the first round as they were trying to figure out exactly which MLS teams are joining the U.S. Open Cup. But we'll start here with Hailstorm, guys. They don't get to host Azteca, a local team that went through the qualifiers. Rapids 2 will go ahead and host them at Dick's Sporting Goods Park on a Wednesday. So I expect 120 fans at most there, let's be honest. And then Hailstorm traveling all the way down to Tulsa to play Tulsa Athletic, an exciting side that last year was able to go ahead and beat FC Tulsa. So this is by no means an easy game. When we spoke with Jake Keegan post preseason match, just a little bit of the emphasis on how much the U.S. Open Cup game coming up means to them if they're properly prepping, facing Rapids 2 and MLS Next Pro side, if they can kind of gauge an idea of how well they'll do against the opposition that they'll see in the early rounds. And obviously there was an emphasis that Lexington first, and then we'll think about Tulsa. But that's still something that's in the back of their mind. This is a competition that they're not going to take lightly. So we can go ahead and see a strong team face off against Tulsa, and then an even stronger team to beat Rapids 2 in the second round, given they don't choke to Azteca. But Nick, do you have any insight, any comments on our U.S. Open Cup fixture for Hailstorm?
All I know is it was kind of, as we know from the staff, it was kind of like dropped on Hailstorm. They were expecting to host Azteca, and now they're making logistics to travel to Tulsa. So I think it's just kind of annoying. It's definitely annoying for me as a fan because I was definitely looking forward to watching Hailstorm. It's going to be just too difficult for me midweek to make that 10-hour drive. Hopefully, I don't know who released it, but there's rumors that they're attempting to get the first round streamed out to everyone, all the games. So just hopefully I get to see the boys on TV, but it's just kind of shameful from U.S. Soccer and MLS to even have this going on to our Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. So
yeah, well said. I'll move on to you, Rob, if you want to go ahead and share with us here who Forward Medicine is seeing first.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to host Duluth FC, one of the best amateur teams in NPSL last season. They went 11-0-1 in the NPSL season. Lost to Med City in the conference final. Somehow they got 11 yellow cards and 3 red cards in the final, which was wild, and they ended up losing in extra time 2-1. Wow. Which is wild. Pretty wild. So I know very little about them. I'm going to reach out to the club and get either a coach or office person or somebody on Talkin Flock just to kind of preview the match. What I don't know is how much of the roster of that, obviously really stacked roster they had from last year. 12 matches, goal differential plus 33. Like, this is a potent attacking club, and will almost certainly give our backline some trouble if it's the same roster, right? Or if it's a most similar roster. I do not know really NPSL clubs and how much roster they turn over. So that would be my only question: is are we seeing basically the same team that that ran through NPSL last season? The other thing is that the NPSL season is very different than the USL League One season, in that they don't really even start playing games until June. So, how fit will they be? How ready will they be? And I would imagine they're going to bring their best, obviously, to Madison. So I'm excited.
It must be nice to go ahead and be able to host the game. And
it will be nice, yes.
Any
we have our first league game of the season that's Saturday, and then we host Duluth FC on Tuesday. So regardless of who the opponent is, we're going to have to rotate quite a lot.
Yeah.
So,
any
I thought
exciting
my
plans you
10-hour
have?
drive. I was gonna say I thought my 10-hour drive was long until you hear about John and Brian's.
Yeah, John, share with us a little bit. Actually, before you do, we just have a new guest joining us here on the stream.
Oh,
Mr.
man.
Benji Wade.
Hey, Benji.
Benji.
What is going on? I didn't even know this was happening. I'm very bad at paying attention to things, apparently.
Well, we're glad you're joining us here tonight on another USL League One local media roundtable. And we were just chatting about the U.S. Open Cup fixtures that our teams are facing in the first round. So just to go ahead and give you some context, I am going to go ahead and ask John here to let us know about their first round opponent, Vermont. I saw today they got a foot mob page.
Yeah.
Them. But go ahead and tell us a little bit about the game. We know the drive is going to be rough. If you can.
So yeah, it's a 15-hour drive on a Tuesday. So that's likely a no. So we're playing Vermont Green, who are like one of the bigger kind of indie clubs of USL 2. They're really big and popular. They produce a lot of great kits. Noah Khan is like a fan or a part owner of the team. They just sold out their season tickets. They're a really big team in the USL 2. So it's a very big matchup type deal of two teams. It sucks that it's not close, but I like Chip at Walking 90 said, we can't beat the drum of like MLS has to come to lower league. Like MLS has to come play our teams if we're not going to go play other teams. So as much as it sucks that we're not getting the close draws, I think
It's good for them.
Yeah, it's good for them. I think it was a move by the USL to be willing to travel out because the NISA and MLS next teams are the ones with the closer ones. And then it's by a coin flip too. So like those who wanted to host, I think they genuinely flip a coin or something like that. And that's how it's decided. If both clubs are willing to host.
The ultimate parody. Heads or tails?
From what I'm hearing from the Cup.us people, that's literally like if both clubs are going to host, they like flip a coin. It's like a 50-50 shot. It might be flip a coin. It might put stuff in the thing, but it's generally like we'll give it up to chance. We're not going to like pick one or the other.
They should just do a front office scrimmage. The best front office gets the host, 90 minutes, 45 minutes. They're not pro athletes. So 45 minutes, 2 halves, 20. Bryan, tell us a little bit here about Union Omaha. Do you guys get to host your first round or are you traveling, and against who?
Yeah, Omaha did not put into host. So they will be traveling to Western Massachusetts Pioneers. That's a USL League 2 team. I will not be going. That is a far way for me to go on a Thursday in a couple weeks. I am actually would not be traveling as far as the team though, because they will be in California for their Saturday match and have to travel all the way across the country to Massachusetts for that match on Thursday. So,
wow.
I don't know too much about Western Mass. I haven't watched a whole lot of League 2, but it's definitely going to be something that it'll be nice to have the Open Cup back, even though it's not the ideal Open Cup scenario. But yeah, just like what was said before, if we want to beat the drum about upper league teams coming and playing at lower league teams, we need to practice what we preach, and Omaha going there, but it just makes sense.
Yeah, I think the prospect of just playing a new team is always just fun too. Sometimes you're just playing the same old teams every year, just getting out a new 11 against someone else, just fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think
It
it's
seems like
what the Open Cup needs is
Mhm.
there's because some people stated like the geography thing kind of gets boring type deal if you're playing the same teams. So I think especially with this, I like how they just did this round of all 32 pro teams are facing an amateur team. I think that's really cool that they did that. It's just how the draw of the amateur teams happened. There was a lot of Eastern Coast and a lot of West Coast teams that made it, and like I think 5 Midwestern teams total. So like someone had to travel. Des Moines is going out to California, so
I just wanted to go ahead and mention, Bryan, it seems like the footy gods try to make these games for Union Omaha fans as hard as possible to attend. Just so many weekday games, not only Open Cup, but in the the season in League Cup.
Our League Cup one, that when we had talked to the owners on our show, Tormenta and Casey for you guys, and then you crop up in Richmond. I mean, that I had made the comment that what do you guys think about all of the matches being on weekdays? And they had no idea what I was talking about because Omaha is the only team whose league matches or League Cup matches are all essentially on weekdays. So, yeah. And as far as the Open Cup, Des Moines is obviously the obvious choice for us. But from what I'm hearing from their supporters group, they also did not put into host as well. So there was no chance for either of us to play each other. So it's unfortunate, but I mean, like I said before, I'm just happy the Open Cup is back. And hopefully we'll be able to watch it. I know that a couple teams have said broadcast details may be coming. So here's hoping we actually get to watch it as well.
Put some mics behind the benches,
Yeah.
or
Every
sell
time.
seats in front of the cameras. I think a few of the games last year, some fans were like right in front of the camera, literally. So it's a little bit of the magic of the Open Cup. But joining us on time, talk about the newcomers of the league. As always, you guys have I did like 5 minutes of gassing you up before you joined, Benji. I mean, everything from what you've been doing, covering Spokane Velocity and all of the content, all of the interviews, the super cool video that you guys just released the other day. Well, seemed like you guys were at getting videos of players training. I commented on one of the shooting practices. The goalkeepers were making some insane saves. And
Carlos Marancio, man, that's the one thing I can count on that guy to do.
Yeah. So super
He's
exciting.
a good shot stopper.
Super exciting to go ahead and see a bright light coming out of the West Coast here. Would you consider yourself West Coast, even though you're a little bit east?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
When people say Pacific Northwest, I kind of push back because I think of Pacific Northwest as being west of the Cascades, like Seattle, Portland, on the ocean. We're inland Northwest, but we're definitely west.
Gotcha. See, I had doubts on calling it Pacific Northwest as well. So glad I asked here. But
I'm alone, and I shouldn't say I'm alone. There's people who are like, yeah, we're the Pacific Northwest, but I think it's a little bit of an inferiority complex. Just embrace the fact that we're inland. We're as close to the Rocky Mountains as we are, closer, in fact, where I live, than we are to the ocean. So,
Me too.
yeah, I would say I would feel, maybe this is because I lived in Montana for 8 years, but I feel more kindred to Colorado, even in Spokane, than I probably would in some ways to Seattle. But this is a topic for a whole other day. Goodness gracious.
Well, the topic we want you to go ahead and share with us here is the U.S. Open Cup, the first round here for y'all. Are you hosting? Who are you going against? Are you traveling?
Well, I want to ask John. John, are you going 15 hours to Vermont?
Me and Bluegrass Soccer.
You're going to do it? You're driving the 15 hours?
Me and my media thing are looking into flying me out.
Okay. All right.
I straight up asked like Lexington, like, I got a to be determined on that, but like if I could come just tag along with them.
Exactly.
Because also like Vermont,
awesome.
I can't find a way to like apply for a press pass through Vermont right now, so I'm like, I got nothing. But it's gonna be like $500 if I fly, and then rental car and hotel. Like I'm doing the whole.
Yeah.
I'm doing the whole, like, I'd be in Burlington for 13 hours maybe.
Gotcha. I can contribute a minimal amount on this topic. I can say that the Spokane Velocity will not be hosting. I do think they probably threw their names in the hat, but I don't think I'm divulging too much to say that there was a little relief that Velocity will be hosted by Ballard FC, which is a club that we have the Velocity have a good relationship with. The tryouts that were organized for Velocity when we went to Seattle to try out players there were actually in partnership with Ballard FC. Ballard FC is an awesome club, great ownership, great. The fans are insane. You can't have alcohol, and that's where they play. So we're actually kind of grateful for that because those fans are rabid. But I will be going to that game, and I'm in such a different position than the rest of you, and I admire all the time I just listened to the USL show and I'm like, goodness gracious, this encyclopedic knowledge of all these USL League One teams that you all have. I'm catching up. I'm barely staying ahead of the market in terms of knowledge. I know that our team, if you've followed at all anything that I'm doing, but I'm enlisting the help of a rival, fan like Brandon, who's a Greenville Triumph fan, to come on my podcast and help educate me about who the hell we just signed. So, yeah, that's what I can say. I think there's a little relief that we're not hosting because of the cost. This has been trial by fire for the ownership group and all the staff and front office and the players and the coach. They've been together for 5 weeks. Like, there's a couple of these players that just joined the team last week, haven't even fully trained. So I think there's a little relief that they don't have to add that to their plate. So, and it's close. It's a 4-hour drive and hour plane to get to Ballard.
Perfect. I was just going to ask you what the travel looked like, but USL League One is a continuous learning experience. But I will speak for everyone. I say you're killing it with the content, consistent and great content. So
thanks.
I
gentlemen.
appreciate that.
It.
Yeah.
Likewise, dude. Riccardo, your appearance on League One to See, I was like, I don't know what it was. You were just killing it. Like, every single time they would cue you up, you'd be like, bam, just delivering words. It was like a couple hundred words at a time, just stream of consciousness shit. I was like, damn, Riccardo's on one. I learned a lot about NOCO.
Yeah,
I'm scared. By the way, I'm very scared.
It was an interesting experience. I'll say that. I shot it at 8 a.m. my time, went to sleep at 2 a.m. And I don't know what it is with Zencastr, but I only had a max 4-minute time. So after 4 minutes, it would just kick me out. So we recorded it about 8 to 12 times. And I want to give a huge shout out to Dan and Josh for all the editing they had to do for that, because it was like 32 MP3 files. So,
well, I'm glad you're warning me. I use Zencastr. Maybe I should start using StreamYard. Goodness.
Maybe it was just a me thing, but I won't talk smack about Zencastr.
I've been on League One Under the Sea like 3 times. I've never had to get kicked.
Okay.
So.
Well, Brandon, when he came on my podcast, we had issues. One time he was sick. One time he just fat thumbed something, but there was another time where he just randomly got booted. It took a little bit of sinking, but whatever. I've done this stuff professionally for a long time, so it's not that big of a deal. But I don't know. What you just described sounded like hell.
It was a good experience, and I always enjoy listening to all of you guys also join on their podcast. They do a really good job in getting a flow going.
So true.
Yeah.
No, but tell us, Benji, it's gonna be your first Open Cup, like, for your team, like.
Dude, it's going to be my first everything. Do you realize that on Saturday, we just went to a Tacoma Defiance preseason game. It was something else, like, to see this team play publicly for the first time. And there were 40 supporters from the supporters group on a chartered bus that drove 2.5 hours to the Tri-Cities in Washington State to see them play against the MLS Next Pro team of the Sounders. It was wild. It was really, really wild to see them play for the first time.
See, I think this has been understated before the season starts, but you guys did set the season ticket holder record. You guys are
bananas.
going to be,
yeah.
You guys are going to be absolutely packing. I mean, I don't know what your stadium situation's like. I haven't even seen it, but just seeing. I mean, hearing the reports, it seems like you got, and you're saying 40 people on a bus.
Yep.
I just had a supporters group meeting, talking about how we can get more than 5 of us to get it bigger. You know what I mean? And this is our 3rd season in the league, so wow, it just sounds like
it is crazy. That season ticket thing still baffles me. The context is fairly straightforward. There was an old broken down stadium that was built in the 50s or 60s, and they raised money, public dollars, but it's going to generate a ton of revenue. They're finally coming out with good information about the background on the building of the stadium, because there's a lot of pissing and moaning about it being built. But now people are coming around to it's going to be great for economic development. And yeah, it's a 5,000 capacity stadium. And according to everything I've seen from the USL or from the ownership group, they're setting like USL League One records or whatever, not records necessarily, but they're ahead of all their season ticket deposits and conversions of those deposits, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, that people are
Well, it's
excited.
really interesting. It's really cool to go ahead and get a glimpse of what the other teams have been doing in the past few years, and just kind of get an idea of what works best, what doesn't, and just start implementing your first season. So it's a nice step ahead that you guys have. I asked Brian this earlier, but you guys will have a national televised game.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? Is there some pressure there? To share some thoughts.
I just think it's really cool. The pressure, I can't think of pressure for me. I just get to make a podcast. So I think for the club, it will be more eyeballs. They have some more announcements that I know about and can't share that I'm just kind of like, really? That's going to happen too? It's pretty cool. And I think it's attributed directly. The owner said this and was publicly quoted about this, that it was the result of the things we just talked about, the amount of hype and the amount of support that's been shown for this team rolling out their inaugural season, and it's a direct result of that they were chosen as one of the two fixtures. So I really wish I could see. To be totally honest, I really want to see the Henny Derby. I mean, I would much rather go to that, to be completely honest with you guys. It's a cool narrative, of course, that it'll be a nationally televised game, and Luis Hill coming from Union Omaha is rad too. That player, he's going to be so important to whatever they intend to do with this team, because it's a really interesting mixture of young players fresh out of college who have a lot of talent and not a lot of professional experience. But then you have people like Luis Hill and Colin Fernandez, who've seen many, many, many a minute of professional soccer in their careers. So.
Yeah, Brian, you're nodding your head. You know a little bit about Lewis.
Yeah, I said that earlier when we were talking about people moving around the league and new acquisitions, and yeah, I mean he's going to be huge for you guys, and super jealous that you were able to steal him away from Omaha.
We almost got a second, but then we sold him before he ever set foot in a training ground. So
That
Right.
was the funniest thing ever. Yeah, they didn't even announce it. It was just like, oh yeah, we're transferring this guy to FC Tulsa. I was like, you signed him?
yeah,
I don't recall seeing a signing.
Did you
I would
sell
probably
somebody else's
blush.
player?
Exactly. I would probably blush if I saw the dollar amount that was generated for just like a couple signatures passing hands. But I've gotten the impression that it was a really good piece of business for the club. So hopefully they use it to bolster our squad, because we still are 17, I think, publicly announced players.
One
cool.
away from full squad.
Yeah. True.
Very cool. Very cool. And as we go ahead and wrap up our US Open Cup discussion here, guys, I want you to keep in mind this lower league team that's going to be competing. We like to call it the Burrito team. It's El Farolito out of California. And I don't know. They just ride this burrito identity, and it's so awesome. I think Nick and I were discussing there's a food truck named after them, or they share the same name.
Who is this club? What league are they in?
I believe it's UPSL.
Okay.
UPSL has the weirdest teams that will pop up in them.
Yeah.
We got
Was that
two
the shark
random ones.
depots? Is that the shark
It is
kind
UPSL.
of. Yeah. The UPSL is like Bowling Green, Kentucky just got two random teams, and they're like, one of them's like an African refugee team. So like they only like play with African refugees in Bowling Green, and others like similar to like Eastern European. And I'm just like, you're in Bowling Green, Kentucky? Like how big of a player pool is that to gather from? Either of those sides, or like you'll get what might just be a food truck people. This could be the owners of this food truck, and just be like, let's play a team. Oh, we'll just use our food. We'll use the extra money we make from the food truck to run the team.
This is the first time I'm hearing of Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I already know what I'm going to do after this roundtable. Look up their history, because that's such a cool name. It's such a cool name. But I want to go ahead and see if anyone has any other topics or anything they want to share about this US Open Cup. Again, Doesn't have to be PG. No, I'm kidding. Don't go ahead and start hating on MLS and US soccer, but we can be upset. I know that there's going to be a lot of flags, banners, t-shirts, stickers. Has anyone received anything or planning to get one that they want to go ahead and share? I know that there's the Save the Cup stickers that have been going around, and I saw a Union Omaha edition as well. But I think we can get them for our own club, right? Like if we ask that individual, it's the Omaha Pellets, if I'm not mistaken. They're the ones who are making them.
Yeah, I think they have the outline or the stencil for it. I think if you go to their Twitter page and find them, they might be able to hook you up with changing the colorways to suit your team. But
So
with
cool.
them being Omaha fans, obviously they had to get an Omaha version done. And yes, I will be ordering at least 100 of those. So, and those will be scattered around in different locales. So
Awesome.
We
Maybe we in that parking lot up there.
yeah, we
yeah,
might
maybe in
not-
that parking lot. Yeah.
We might not see it this weekend because it might rain in Lexington, but that's what we're working on.
Nice.
That's nice.
Very nice.
Ooh, that's nice.
I
I
think-
think I'm going to be receiving some I hate MLS stickers from I Hate Your Club, the account that no one really asked for, but we all love.
And Nick and I were
Yeah.
discussing maybe making some limited shirts, like 20 of them, that say you can cup these in the front, just that. So see if there's some funny guys out there who. That will go ahead and wrap up our US Open Cup discussion here. The games will be on March 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of that week. And as we get more information out from clubs, if there's going to go ahead and be local broadcast or streams, that will be exciting. I know that hopefully NoCo does, because I really want to do a watch along. And I'm sure as you want to go ahead and see your team, Brian, Rob, Benji, sounds like you guys are making the drive. John, somehow, hopefully you get there. If we have to start a USL League One GoFundMe, sure we could get those. Some
If you
numbers to
want
get
to
you out there.
donate, you can go to Bluegrass Soccer Cast. We have our Buy Me Coffee thing in there. I believe
Nice.
any money that's donated is going towards this fund right now. So
Rob, who's
That's
Madison
right.
playing?
Duluth FC.
Okay. So that's not
The-
too far.
and they're
The
one
armored chicken.
Madison's one of
We're
the
hoping-
few that's actually
hoping.
hosting.
Yeah, Duluth is coming to us.
Oh, okay. Got you. Nice.
They're the lucky ones.
One quick
Yeah.
comment about the bumper stickers or t-shirts or whatever else, that hashtags and the profile pictures and avatars. I think the most important thing that this community can do, and I've seen it happen anecdotally so much already, is just go out there, connect with fans, and tell their stories. That is the actual arrow in your quiver. It's not hashtags. Hashtags aren't going to do shit. It's go out there and connect with fans who are really excited to see their teams play in this competition. So that's what I would recommend. And
Exactly.
save your money on the hats and the t-shirts, because no one's going to care about that in a week.
The
Well said.
Cup.us does a good job of sharing that. They like make sure to try to get at least an article about every single Open Cup game ever. I would add to that, it's not necessarily getting the voice of the fans, it's packing stadiums. Like, as much as it sucks going to these lower league sides, like, they need to pack the stadium. We need to pack our stadiums when they come, type of deal, because that's like
Yeah.
MLS's argument is that no one cares about it, because when it gets played in MLS stadium, it's only 8,000 that show up instead of like
it's
their
true.
usual 20.
Their love language of the MLS is always going to be the gate.
Absolutely. I think since Rapids 2 are hosting and I don't really want to give them money, I'm probably still going to go and throw on a Mexico jersey and just root for Azteca as hard as I can.
Oh my
I'm going to go for this amateur side as hard as I can.
Yeah, I guess that will go ahead and wrap up our discussion here on the U.S. Open Cup. A lot of great insight. Actually, before I move on, Robert, Duluth, I don't know, but I think Nick and we might have played them in regionals, their club team, when we went to regionals. Maybe I'm thinking of a different team, but if their club team is in the Region 4, and they made it one of the years that we were in college, then it was a good game. Or maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I'm sorry, but that name just sounded so familiar. That will go ahead and wrap up the U.S. Open Cup discussions. And now we get to the steak of this meal. Probably, I know everyone has had their own opportunities to go ahead and share their individual honor predictions and team predictions. So we'll just go ahead and go honestly really fast through these. So just we can go ahead and our listeners and viewers can go to our individual channels and get the full story there, articles, videos, etc., posts. So I'll go ahead and start here since I have it on our list, the individual honors. It's always nice to go ahead and talk about the players and the coaches and then the teams. So the first one I have here is the Golden Boot winner. And it's going to go ahead. I think there's a lot of great talent, especially up top for every team. I think every team has the possibility of one player really standing out and bagging double-digit goals. In my article, I said, I think this season we're going to see the most double-digit goals from players compared to previous season. And I know that there's less league games, but there's a lot of emphasis on scoring the most goals in the in-league cup competition. And I think that translates over to the season. So my Golden Boot winner is going to be a player from Forward Madison, and it's Christian Chaney. I think this one's going to be it's going to be a really good season. I think, I don't want to say he's going to carry your team in a sense, because your team is also, I've yet to see it, but they've had some great players as well. And you mentioned the great talent behind him that can go ahead and support his style of play. But if it all clicks and that we all have Madison pretty high up on the table, the top half, a lot of it is going to come because he's bagging a couple goals a game. And I'll go across the panel here. Bryan, you mentioned your Golden Boot winner.
Yeah, so for Golden Boot for me, I have Lagos Kunga out of Union Omaha. Saw shades of him last season, and with a full season under his a full off season under his belt, I think he's only getting better. So I'll take him.
It's exciting. John, you have a couple to choose from.
I do. I'm going to try to be as little Lexington biased as possible. So I think I'm actually going to go with a project I think that Zayad's working on in Colorado, and I think it's going to be Billy King.
Interesting. Now, did your answer change by any chance? Did you have Brahima first and then switch?
I had Brahima for my Young Player of the Year. I literally put him in my little blog post as Young Player of the Year, and like 2 days later, Northern Colorado was like, "Yeah, he can't join us right now. Sorry."
Oh, so sad.
Nick, your prediction for Golden Boot?
I'm gonna stick with what I said earlier. I'm gonna go Atez Diouf, the truth, because he was super impressive last year, and I think if you're putting even more offensive talent around him, he's gonna bag that many more goals, and I'm just gonna stick with Diouf.
Yeah, that's a good bet. Rob.
Me too. That literally, I have Diouf written down in my little thing here. That I think he was third last year with 15 goals, and I think he's got a lot more goals in him. I think he's got a better team around him, and I think he's the one to watch.
Awesome. Benji.
You can't ask me this.
Okay, no worries.
I can name like 4 strikers, probably. Period.
That's
no,
fair.
I can't, because Trevor Mon now plays in the championship, so I don't have anything. If I said Josh Doling, that would be completely ridiculous. Yeah, whatever. Let's say things click, and it would have to be Josh, because if you look at this team, you don't know I don't actually know where the goals are going to come from. Luis Hill is not a goal scorer, so Josh Doling, I don't know. I really liked Camarnie Smith in the preseason game I just watched. He looked like he'll make runs. He'll do his part if the service is there. So, but other than that, I don't know where bags of goals would come from in a Golden Boot conversation from this team right now. So
the safe League One bet would be Emilio Tarzaghi out of Richmond. The man just he scored 55 goals, and this league has only existed 5 years.
And you mentioned this on your. Go ahead, Benji.
What if Lancaster dials back the clock, right? Come on, can happen.
I would love for that to happen.
I'm sure you would. I just listened to the boys of the USL show talking about it, and they're pretty skeptical.
Well, just go ahead and move on here to our next individual honor here, and it's the league MVP. I know it's super early to go ahead and decide this one, but it's kind of hard to gauge exactly what the factors are that make up a league MVP. Is that going to be the Golden Boot winner, like we saw last year, a fantastic goalkeeper, or an assist machine of a defender? It's kind of hard to tell. I have down Bruno Rendon because of his quality. I think this season, his sophomore season in USL League One with Noco, he has only gotten better. The team has gotten better. I think he has a lot more more players to provide chances for. But the overall type of player, I was chatting with him half jokingly, but a little bit of seriousness. I kind of whispered in his ear, like, hey, I think you're MLS quality. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone in MLS decided to go ahead and pick you up soon and then fit in with your MLS Next Pro, get some minutes, maybe even boom, some rotation games in there. But that's my pick for MVP of 2024. Going backwards on the panel, I'll start with Rob, unless Benji, give me a wave if you have an input. I don't want to.
Let's use me as a foil for education, because what is considered criteria for an MVP in USL? Because it's a very American construct, and I can't. What is it? Yeah, is it can a 6 win league MVP? Probably not.
Yes, and that's my choice.
Oh, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Rob, go.
Chelo Martinez is going to be MVP because I got to see him play last year. He was so good in that role, and he was so good in that role, in fact, that he rejected the offer they gave him at the end of the season and legitimately thought that he could get a shot in the championship. Matt also thought he could get a shot in the championship. He did not get a shot in the championship, probably because he's not a very big guy. And he's coming to NOCO now with a chip on his shoulder. And my personal subjective measure of an MVP is how much you notice when they're absent. And Chelo was noticeable when he was absent there was a 3 or 4 game stretch. And everybody was asking me every week, is Chelo back? Is Chelo back? Is Chelo back? And if Chelo stays healthy for another Colorado, doing what he does for Ayman Zayed and that squad he's got around him, I think Chelo's an MVP.
Interesting. You had to do temporary interim physio for Madison. People were asking you, like you were
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting. We got 2 NOCO players on the board so far. Nick, who's your pick for the MVP this year?
I'm gonna go with the same answer as my Golden Boot because people love goals. Goals make headlines. I'm gonna say Diouf again, because I think he's gonna break. I think he might break the 20 goal mark this year. I mean, it's gonna be rough, but
I think he will.
I think the league is trending in that direction where goals are going to start. Actually, let's dial it back. I'm going to add in with the cup.
Okay.
Because the balance schedule. I'm going to say with the cup, with his 32 games. I think he's going to break the 20 goal mark with the cup.
Is the MVP voted on? Is it voted on by fans? How's it determined?
It is voted on. So the golden awards are all by stats. They're all by total stats. I believe.
Yeah, I remember.
It's voted on by coaches and front office.
Cool. So it's not just random fans. Okay, good.
I know we do the halfway through the season.
Media.
Yeah, a little bit, but we did a little bit of halfway through the season that they highlighted just the media predictions. You know, who we think is gonna win Golden Boot, MVP, blah, blah, blah. But a little bit towards the end of the season, we also had another forum that just kind of highlighted who we think deserves MVP, defender of the year, goalkeeper of the year, coach of the year. But I don't think that's weighed as heavily compared to front office and coaches.
Is media including people on this call type of thing?
Yeah, from Ethan's. And we're working really hard to make sure that all of us get on that list. He specifically emphasized, I need to know more because we live in the world of Twitter, so you can only find so many.
Just throw Ethan in that group chat, honestly.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
See, I was thinking we'd throw in somebody said Ross Davenport. That would have been fun. That would have been some jokes there. John, who's your pick for MVP this year?
My pick is Christian Chaney. Because I think he's gonna, like Rob said, he can score goals and also distribute them. And I think where he might not be high up on the Golden Boot, I think he'd probably still be top 3 up there. But I think he might be sneaky. Like, I think he might lead the league in goals plus assists.
Okay. That's it. Not a bad shout.
Yeah, good shot. Good shot. Brian?
Yeah, boys are gonna like this one. And my MVP is Billy King. I think with a year under his belt, he's gonna come in, and for the exact same reason John thinks his pick, the assists are gonna come for him, and with Rob, his personal one as well. Noco is gonna miss him if he's not playing. So, yeah, Billy King for me is the guy. I also said that last year too, and that didn't turn out. He didn't stay healthy all season. That kind of hurt me. I expect that to change this season.
I remember that was
stays
your dark
healthy-
horse pick.
If
Yeah.
he stays healthy and Zayed has like the similar thing that he did to Amon, oh boy.
That was our discussion for Brahima. You know, get the sense of year one, but year two, the way that Coach Amon Zayed had developed Trevor, year two, we could go ahead and see an absolute new beast take number 9. I'll move on to you. Go ahead.
Sorry. What did Amon have in 22? Like 3 or 4 goals?
Yeah, 5. But
5 goals. Yeah,
My-
Bobby's
Benji.
main
first hat
emphasis-
trick.
my main
Benji took.
emphasis on Amon last year, though, was he was so in the right spot, just missing. He was just missing his first season.
Yeah, Zayed took a 5-goal scorer and made him into like 27 goals over a season. Benji.
Wow.
So if a guy goes to Northern Colorado, he could just become a goal machine.
Just going by our criteria for this team, and if this team overachieves, finishes mid-table or above, and surpasses even some of the bad expectations that people have about expansion teams, I would look at nobody other than Luis Hill, of course, and also Andre Lewis. I think either of those players, if the criteria is the importance to the team, Colin Fernandez in for a distant shout too. I'm just going to go MVP of what I think the MVP of the Velocity will be. But if they had transcendent seasons, that could translate to league-wide status. And all 3 of those players are probably capable of that, especially Hill and Lewis. But yeah, Lewis came on for the last 30 minutes of that preseason game against Defiance and was rusty, but just the change in tenor of their build-up play and everything else was immediately noticeable with both Hill in minute 70 and 80 and Andre Lewis. It's like, oh, this is like 2 really experienced midfielders. This is going to be fun. So yeah, I mean, again, if it transcends to league-wide, that might be surprising, but they're definitely going to be the probably 2 most important players for Velocity.
Awesome.
I mean, if we haven't preached enough how unpredictable this league is, just listen to all of our
exactly.
different picks here. Now, this is something that you mentioned in your podcast, Brian, with Rich. What is the criteria exactly to determine a comeback player of the season? Because, Irvin Parra last year missed the majority of the season due to personal health issues. And so what is that going to look like this year? Is it going to be somebody, I don't want to say that an injury happens, they come back, they had a great season. Yeah, that's a positive. Sucks about the injury. But what really determines a comeback player? For my pick, I went ahead and said Emiliano Terzaghi, just because I thought somebody coming back and scoring double-digit goals, maybe even double-digit assists, just the way he was in his prime the first few years of this league, that would be a nice comeback player of the year, just making back. And he can do wonders for Richmond. I don't have him as one of my bottom 3 because I think of, he's going to be the comeback player of the year and he's going to do wonders for that team. He's still got a lot left in the tank. I'll move on to you, Brian, here. Your pick for comeback player of the year.
Yeah, so it got brought up on our show when we talked about it. But Irvin Parra is obviously one of the really high ones, obviously with his cancer struggle and everything like that. It's going to be really great to see him back. But my pick is Connor Doyle. A pretty pretty good injury last season, about midway through the season. Excuse me, switched teams from Omaha down to Tormenta. I think he's still a positive player. I still think he's got a lot to give, even though he's getting up there in age. So a veteran presence like that on a team that turned over 80% of its roster is one that I think can make a pretty big splash. So for me, that would be a good candidate for comeback player of the year.
Well said. Well said. John, your pick?
I'm going with Terzaghi as well.
Yeah.
Para I would go with, but I would think that depends on where they consider his comeback. Because he did come back last year type deal. That's like, where does his comeback end type situation. Other than that, like, Doyle is out there. There's not that many that I can come to my head that are like big names that had a down year because they were hurt last year. So I think this is like Terzaghi, Doyle, Parra, if they like throw them in there to kind of lose it, like just have a bat. Like if one of these guys has a semi-stellar season, I think they're gonna get it. One of the three.
Yeah, what's said, Nick?
I'm just gonna go with Parra because yes, he came back to playing, but we're trying to see Parra come back to his highest form again. And so I think he's looked absolutely sharp in preseason. He scored 5 goals, including against R2. I just am looking forward to seeing him rise to being one of the league's top scorers like he was in his first season with Hailstorm. So I think that he's going to be my vote just because, yes, he came back, but I'm looking forward. Like, he even personally challenged himself. Like, he wants to prove something to his friends, his family, to us, even as fans. And he wants to come back and be at his best. So he's going to still get my vote.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to go ahead and see him this season. Hopefully he does hit that double-digit goal mark as he did back in the championship. Bring that energy, that peak he had to year 3 for Noco. Rob, your pick for comeback player of the year.
Again, depending on the context, depending on the criteria, it might be Sharif J. Because he missed a lot of time last year and just came in those last 2 games of the season was just like magical in the last 2 games of the season, and then we'll pick up where he left off. So if that counts, it could be him. If not, it might be Jaden Onan. Frankly, he lost a lot of time at the end of last season and didn't play the last month of the season. And if he comes back strong, he could be a candidate.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on to Defender of the Year. I'll start us off here. If Bruno Rendon is winning MVP, he's also winning Defender of the Year. I think that's my safe bet. We saw what a playmaking defender can do for a team in Arthur Rogers, and I think I don't want to say it's going to be like for like, but he's definitely going to go ahead and put up the same style, the same numbers that he did in terms of assisting the attackers. We have some time. Likes to go ahead and play the ball into the box, whether that's set piece or throughout wide. So Bruno Rendon for my Defender of the Year. Rob.
These last couple are going to show you my my Madison bias, but I think Defender of the Year is going to be Stephen Payne because I think he's going to defend really well, and I think he's going to score a couple goals too.
Nice.
Sweet.
I'm excited for that. Nick?
Try not to be biased, but I still think Bruno Rendon. It was kind of shocking that I think we secured a multi-deal for him this last contract because I easily think he has championship quality, and I think he's just a dominant force going forward and on the defensive line. So he's gonna be my Noco also player of the year.
Fair enough. John, your Defender of the Year?
Okay, so personally, Defender of the Year to me is more traditional, like a true defender type deal. And for that, I give it to Jordan Skelton down in Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
If they have the same type of defensive year they had, to me, that is it. Now it's gone to Arthur Rogers these past 2 years because of his great assist playmaking, but I think his defending was also under part of it. But I think Skelton, if they have the same like stellar back line that he's anchoring the whole time, it's his award to lose. But I'm traditionalist with Defender of the Year more.
We love traditions. Keep it real. Brian, who is your pick for defender of the year?
I'm right there with John. Jordan Skelton for me too, for all the exact same reasons.
Nice. And Benji, for you, I wanted to know for Spokane's defender of the year, who you have an early shout for.
I mean, come on. If this guy stays fit, the pedigree and class of Romain Métanire, that it has to be. And I would then put him in for a shout for a league-wide status. Okay. So it's just a fitness thing.
Yeah.
And by fitness, I just mean literally, can he not be hurt? And he doesn't have some significant injury history that I could uncover. So, I mean, he did post himself in a walking boot on Instagram a few weeks ago, but I was told that it wasn't serious and that he'd be back for the season opener. So, I mean, that guy there aren't very many players like that playing in League One. Other than my guy, Obertons, who played for Newcastle back in the day. Where does he play? I can't remember. Is it Greenville?
Yeah, it's Charlotte.
Charlotte. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Aren't a lot of players in this league that have that type of pedigree. So that'd be I would expect him to be one of our most important players if he's
healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
I have Métanire as a dark horse type favorite.
I think my honorable mention, I guess, like if we're looking at kind of like Arthur Rogers' production, could be like Tate Robertson as well from Lexington.
I don't know if they classify him as a defender.
Oh,
he's listed. He is listed on our team, but I look at our team and I'm like, he's going to play up in the midfield. So I don't know if he gets classified, even though he's listed on the roster as a defender, if he's playing everywhere on left mid.
Do they play with a back three?
We could be doing a back three, but he would still be playing up top.
Okay.
Like he played out on the wing a lot for us last year, but we got a lot of outside backs now, and we don't have as much like edge midfielders.
I can't wait to see the style of play in this league. Is it just a thing that most fullbacks just attack and they don't defend? Is that just like a thing in USL, or is it a League One thing?
Welcome to counter-attacking football.
Okay, yeah.
Cross and inshallah.
Okay, yeah.
See what happens.
North Carolina, like someone asked us on the USL Discord, like, is there any like possession-based teams? I was like, not really. Omaha was the best, and they had like 51% average possession.
Madison wants to be. That's Matt's goal, is to be a possession-oriented possession, but it doesn't always work.
Okay. What's the goal per game average in League One? Does anybody know?
Last year was the best. So
really,
but like
yes, I have that information.
3.5 plus.
Last year was 2.98. 22 was 2.71 and 21 was 2.65.
Wow, so if you're getting into three territory, that's pretty good.
It's fun. And then
awesome.
We might see in this League One Cup teams just going for it.
Balling out. Let's go.
Very curious if the league throws all that stuff together.
Crazy we had such a high goals per match last year, given the quality of goalkeepers that were also in the league last year. So kind of
last year still we really only lost one.
The keepers were good, you're saying?
Amazing. From all around from
cool.
First place to 11th place. And yeah, a lot of them are still in the league, but it's all about I predict that there's going to be a lot more goals this year. So hopefully, I think there might be a little drop in just because they're conceding more, but still a lot of quality goalkeepers. And that's actually the next question here for everyone. Goalkeeper of the year shouts. Mine, Union Omaha, Rashid Nuhu. I mean, I saw a few footage of him watching the Union Omaha highlights, but when he came to Northern Colorado, and you're so close to the field, even in the stands when you're sitting down, his presence, his vocal ability, and his just reactions. I used to play goalkeeper my whole life. Fantastic. And I have him I give him the edge over, I know Lalo Delgado, Sean Lewis, Austin Pack are still fantastic goalkeepers in the league. But if we bring back, was it 2022? Yeah, 2022 Rashid, where he got goalkeeper of the year. I think he might even be better than that year. So just a little gassing up Union Omaha there. As I move on to you, Bryan, for your pick of goalkeeper of the year.
So my pick for goalkeeper of the year is actually different than my Golden Glove pick. So my goalkeeper of the year pick, I'm wearing his kit. Obviously, I have to go with Rashid Duhu. Obviously, going back to the purple kit, the same one that we won a title with. That was one of his home kit. So, yeah, for all the same reasons that Rico said, I'm going Rashid Duhu.
Bryan, show me a little more of that thing. That thing is sexy. Let me see that.
Show us a little bit.
Yeah, show us some more.
Yeah,
Oh my
so
god.
new front jersey sponsor this season is Centris
Ooh.
Credit Union. So,
That's nice.
and then our home kit's actually the crest here glows in the dark. This one does not, unfortunately. So
I like
but
Hummel,
yeah,
man. Hummel goes hard. People sleep
They
on
do.
Hummel. I wore a Hummel kit in high school soccer, and I love that shit.
it fits so well. These are coming from Nike to Hummel. I mean, if you get the fit exactly right, you got to know what size up or down you got to do per the material. But this one fits perfectly.
John's gonna fight me. I don't really like Nike kits. I like the
Yeah,
Puma
I
kit.
don't.
Lexington's Puma kit was so fire.
Puma. We haven't
Didn't you have
done with
Puma?
Nope. We've only been straight with Nike.
Oh, what am I thinking about? Maybe I'm just confusing your actual crest for Puma.
I listen. I like our kits, but Nike limits us a lot.
I liked your last one better.
So-
Last year one better.
The
Yeah,
home.
that's why
kit,
Omaha switched to Hummel.
Anyway,
From what
John,
I know,
your pick for goalkeeper of the year.
my pick is the guy who got robbed of any league honors last year, and that's Lalo Delgado. The fact that he Pat, I understand why Pat got first team, but the fact that Sean Lewis got second team, all 11 over Delgado was stupid. The fact that Delgado didn't get more team of the week honors was stupid.
Bro.
This man, 13 clean sheets. He was second in saves. Insane.
Absolutely.
I will tell you, I knew he was the real deal against the Rapids Open Cup match when he made a save, dislocated his shoulder, popped that bad boy back in, played the rest of the game.
Ooh.
I feel like the goals after that kind of went on that shoulder though. So,
Yeah.
to be fair, I'm gonna also go with Lalo Delgado for my pick, just because I don't want to be biased with Hailstorm these last ones, but I feel like you might ask for like young player of the year next, but for my goalkeeper, I just think he was fantastic. Just personally as a Hailstorm fan, I think we had like a 20-point swing from last season to this season or this next season. And it was definitely mostly because of the goalkeeper position. Watching the first season mistakes, we were shuffling through 3 keepers, and then just to having a solid rock in Delgado. He ended up saving the most PKs throughout the season, had the most clean sheets. I think tied for most clean sheets. Yeah, he was just incredible, and I think he's got a chip on his shoulder to try to come in here and win some league honors.
Benji, now I know where you got the Puma.
yeah, it's your
kit.
fault, Ricardo.
It's 100%
It's FC
my.
Tucson, so
Bro,
kid.
look at that. Look at that address.
I will show you
That's where-
guys real quick here.
that's
why
where Fox came
when I was
from. He
making-
came from FC Tucson.
Oh, okay. So this is some fake news happening.
It was
here.
there's a really bad throw green on
Photoshop
top,
job.
throw the
I got
crest.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm not
kill me,
lying.
fellas.
I
was
saw
just
that a lot.
practicing.
And dude, back in my day of researching kits, I saw that image come up in an image search a lot. And I thought you had Puma as your sponsor or your kit manufacturer.
Nope.
This was back
That's
last
so
year when
good.
I thought I could do what Alex does and announce.
Wait,
all
did
the,
you make
league
that,
times.
Ricardo?
Yeah, I just edited it. Changed the shirt to green and added the Lexington logo.
Oh my god, bro. Jesus.
You started your own Mandela effect right there.
The link I just sent is football kit history. That
Okay,
has all
thank
of our
you. Thank you.
kits.
This is real news, not fake news. All right. This is
They
brilliant.
didn't have
I
a
love
kit
that it
back
was
then,
your
man.
link, a link to Linners and Wosers. That's incredible.
Yeah. Sorry about that for any
It's great,
confusion out
dude.
there.
It's so
Again,
good.
this-
I'm like, yeah, they're totally Puma. And it's like, hey, you know what it means though? It means you have really good Google rank though, because at one point I'm Googling Lexington SC kit. That's what shows up.
I'm misleading. I need to make an announcement. Sorry for
Page one
misleading.
of image results for Lexington SC kit is right there. It's so good.
Yeah, but
No comment on goalkeeper of the year from your boy. Sorry, I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Rob, how about yourself?
I think if we're talking about like a voted upon goalkeeper of the year, I think it's going to be Rashid Nuhu. I think if it's purely statistical Golden Glove, I think it's Brent Shipman because he's got the best back line in the league in front of him. And you guys might, I'm going to have to hop off here real quick, but do you mind if I throw in my coach of the year real quick too?
Go ahead.
I think
start with
Central Valley Fuego is going to surprise everybody, and they're going to name Jermaine Jones coach of the year.
Okay.
Just because of the TV ratings, or
Yeah, pretty much. And because he's like, he came in, it's like, I cut the whole team, and everybody's gonna be like, "Ooh, you cut the whole team," and then they cut the whole team, and then they ended up in 8th and made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And but I think he will. I think he'll come in, and I think he'll do a great job and get that nod at the end of the season. And with that, I'm gonna say good night, guys. Thanks so much.
See you,
Good night,
Rob.
I
Rob.
appreciate you joining us, Rob.
All right.
Nick, I'll move on to you for your pick of coach of the year.
Oh, I think it's gonna be Darren Powell. I think I'm gonna go with my Lexington's gonna finish first. Rank, and I just don't think you can not give it to him if he takes that squad from what was it, 9th last year, John? To first. I think he's gonna be my shout.
Okay, John.
I also think
Bill-
it's Darren Powell because if you look at the bottom 4 teams from last year, Lexington's the only one that's made the jump. So if they translate the roster moves to results, if I can see them giving it to Jones if they like make playoffs and
Sure.
kind of that like let's give it to the big name former national team player. But I feel like if Powell gets Lex in the top 4, top 4, top 3, maybe a trophy, he's gonna get it.
I agree.
Brian.
Darren Powell for me as well. It's going to be really hard to not win it with the amount of talent he's got to work
It's
with.
just-
So
It's how we finished last year and then coming up. If we had like finished middle, like if we were like an Omaha situation, it'd be a totally different type deal. But it's coming from bottom 3rd to possibly top.
Absolutely.
So I'm the only one who thinks he's going to get sacked before July. Okay, got it. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I also have him as my pick for coach of the year, and for all of the reasons you guys said. So I guess that was a pretty easy one. You want to hop on this Darren Powell train, Benji?
No, I want to push back and say the weight of expectations for these types of awards can really bite you because you spend a couple $1,000,000 on a squad, and if you don't finish anywhere in the top 4, or even if they finish 4th, 3rd, and it's not in as convincing a fashion as everybody seems to assume, that could create a kind of a expectation problem. Whereas Jermaine Jones, totally, if they finish, in 7th, and because everybody's just treated them like doormats as far as expectations go, that could be that could work to Jermaine Jones' favor. Same thing with someone like Wiedemann, expansion team. They finish in 7th, and it's like, wow, he did so much with not a very deep squad, and wow, this is incredible. 5,000 people showing up to all these games, right? I mean, it's a narrative.
I'm high on Wiedemann. I feel like you all have a good one. It's just a matter of what you guys will get. I feel you guys and Fuego are the same. If you can make playoffs, you guys have a case. Like Wiedemann, especially.
Yeah, but is there a history of them voting for teams that don't finish in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd? Probably not, right?
I'll have to look into it.
You know what I mean?
I need to dive into it.
Usually a coach of the year in like the NBA or something like that. That's my only reference point. It would be not a team that's, good job. You finished in 17th. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm
thinking
just
back
saying,
from what I remember, it's always traditionally been the guys that win the league usually get coached there.
That's then definitely Powell or Zayed or like Union Omaha or whoever.
I'm just saying who I would vote for. If you're like sixth, I feel like Wiedemann gets that over Powell. Personally, that's personally my thing.
I get you. Yeah.
I'll start that narrative too.
Later.
We have 2 young players. I'm so excited about these guys. Where's my guy? Brandon Mays? He and I could cook talking about Javier Martin Hill. But I don't know how this stuff works. I'm just talking about these are young players that we signed who I really like. Now, young player of the year probably means somebody's going to be pretty prolific and have some measurables, some counting stats that are like impressive. But man, I love that player. I really like this fullback, Javier Martin Hill. And I really like this winger who was 2018 Washington State Gatorade Player of the Year. His name's Mikey Rojas. I think this dude, he's got starts in him. And I think he's got a chip on his shoulder because he went to UW and didn't play. Don't know what happened. Haven't asked him. Sure, I'll find out someday. But then he went to UMass for his senior year. And a lot of these college players, just last weird thing I'll say, they went through COVID. So their careers in college were weird too. And some of these players, this is back to what I was saying, where you might just find lightning in a bottle. They've got weird backgrounds where it's just like they may be overlooked. And we all know what the MLS does with young talent. So it's just the young American player landscape is fascinating. And so anyways, I'm really excited about those 2 guys.
I'll just throw mine in here. I think Real Hill, he just reminds me, I feel like we have our own Altez Diouf now, just after watching him play. Same type of, just same way of going at defenders and that type of skill. I hope he can produce half of what Diouf did last season. So I think he could, if he plays just like him, he's just such a talented player. So I think from Hailstorm, him.
John, your pick for Young Player of the Year?
This is like literally a genuine toss-up type deal. I think Beckett Howell over in Richmond. He's real young, but he could do stuff. Omaha's got like a slew of young guys that I could pick from. I think it's anyone under 23, and Lex has got a bunch of guys. If I had to pick a more established one, I think Jackson Corey still qualifies age-wise to do it again, and I think he could repeat. Given with like the reset they did down in Tormenta, he's like the guy now. So I think if very much he can semi do what he did last year, and if he still qualifies age-wise, I think he could just go back to back.
Is it 23 and under or under 23? Like 22? Like what are we saying? We don't know.
I'm not sure.
That line is transparent, I think. Yeah, it's really hard to tell.
I know 23 is like either under 20. I know it's 23 is like either the top out or in the age bracket limit.
That rules out Mikey Rojas is 24.
When I did my
but
guess.
Martin Hill is 23. So okay.
Yeah, it's such a hard I guess just prediction to decide. It was last year I DM'd you, Brian, and I said, hey, is this player a good pick? I don't know. A lot of young guys. I chose Nick Holiday.
I feel like we need
now he's out of the league.
Do they tend to play a lot, these players that win this award?
We don't have the
Okay.
At least not my pick, even though he got the move to MLS Next Pro.
Hit or miss.
No, I mean the player that ends up winning.
Rookie or like a newcomer of the year.
Oh, so is this just something you're calling the newcomer of the year? There's not an award for that? Young player of the year?
There's not a newcomer of the year. There is.
Sorry, I meant young. There's a USL Young Player League One Young Player of the Year. That is an actual award.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And does that player who wins it tend to play a lot?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. So never mind. My picks are probably terrible
then. Brian, your pick for Young Player of the Year?
We'll see.
I'm going with Jackson Corey. I mean, 31 games last season, 7 goals, 6 assists.
Jesus.
If he has numbers close to that again this season,
guy?
I mean, if he's got anywhere close to that
He's a
in his tank
potential
this season,
future
it's
Australian international.
KHOURY.
Thank you. I was like, I'm getting nowhere with my spelling here.
And he's like the only thing left in Tormenta from last year.
Yeah. It's a good one to keep.
7 goals and 5 assists, that you said, Brian?
6 is what I show on
Jesus.
Transfer Market.
Nice.
Good season.
How do we get that guy?
There's also, you'll notice, we have like 3 different things. Transfer Market takes forever to update, but when it does, it's like the most accurate.
No, Transfer Market's fire.
will
I
just
love
like
that place.
miss whole games.
Yeah.
The only problem with Transfer Market, it takes forever to update for us. It could be like 2 months out, and it's still like not accurate.
Yeah, I use it for like this past season stuff. Nothing for any time in the recent past.
I was pretty surprised at how quickly they got Sawahi off of our page because he was on there for a stretch, and then they finally got rid of him. Or did they? Maybe I should spoke too soon. Yeah, he's not listed on the squad. For a while, he was listed on the squad still, and then he's already gone. Anyway,
what I think is funny about that is the market value. That is the funniest thing to me. It's just like you don't know what his market value really is because you don't know what he is getting paid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna thank you for bringing that up. Where do they get these numbers? They just pull them out of their ass. Like, is this
I think they have a
reality to
general
this?
formula with like stats involved.
Yeah, they have like an
algorithm.
algorithm.
Yeah.
I believe they do put a country tax on it, or like where a player comes from. Like Yannick Yankian came in, and he was like the highest valued player in League One when we brought him over from Malta. There's a European bias. There's a European bias to Transfer Market.
Transfer Market thinks that Union Omaha sold Sawahi for $250,000 to Spokane, and then we turned around and sold him to Tulsa for $250,000. I can guarantee you that is not factually correct.
I think that, that was just their market. They take a guess.
I get it. Yeah, it's just speculation. Yeah,
throw it at a dartboard. Yep,
exactly.
That sounds right.
Yeah, totally. Every USL player in League One tends to be like as low as 75 grand and up to like I've seen 300. Like Metanir is 300. That's about the highest number I've seen.
But
I think Ryan Jiba was all the way up at I think 500 when he actually left Union Omaha.
Yeah, but then you have Lou who sells a kid to Benfica for 1.3 million. So it's like,
wait, what happened? Tell me this story, John.
Lou City sent an 18-year-old kid named Joshua Winder to Benfica.
I knew this. Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
$1.3 million. I think on Transfer Market he was valued like $300K.
So great. Yeah. But it also means that team, man, that's so great. They funded their entire squad for a year. Yeah.
And they get like a sell-on clause too with him.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They don't get rid of him in 5 years or something like that.
Well, I think that will go ahead and wrap up all the individual honors. And as always, for more in-depth discussions on our picks, you can always go ahead and check out our individual channels as we break them down. And now for the fun stuff, the team predictions, starting off with the biggest trophy in this competition, the Players' Shield. Who do we think? Actually, I don't think anyone has anything different. A hint to our listeners who we think is going to go ahead and win the Players' Shield. He's smiling. He knows. But my pick, Lexington. Does anyone have not Lexington?
Brian?
Yeah.
I have Lexington, but I want to say I think Omaha might give them a good run for their money for the Players' Shield this year.
Yeah, I've got Omaha for the Players' Shield.
See, I had them just as soon as yesterday, like as recent as yesterday. Then I changed my mind. I think I slept and I was like, you know what? I'm feeling the Lexington hype. So
I think the honest top, I can see 3 teams winning it. It's Omaha, Madison, and Lex. I think those are the teams that are built to last the season to win the Shield.
Yeah. USL League One champions. So through the playoffs, who do we think? Is it going to be Lexington? Are we going to see Lexington not get it done in the playoffs? A new team? For me personally, it is going to go ahead and be Northern Colorado Hailstorm FC. Given that they are healthy, it is a stamina based season. So getting into that playoff spot, and then everything changes. So if you got the healthy guys, you built the chemistry, everyone's fit, take it game by game. I do have them coming second in my predictions, so they will go ahead and get that home field advantage per se. And if Lexington does, for lack of better words, choke in the playoffs, we could go ahead and see all of these games being played at Ticket Soccer Park, given that advantage, given the players that I've mentioned are MVP quality or first league or second league all worthy. But Bryan, your pick for the champions of this year.
My pick for the playoff winners is the same as the Shield winners. I think Omaha runs the table. I see Omaha and Lexington facing off in the final. I think I have them finishing first and second. So I think both of those teams run the whole league until the very end, and I think it's going to be a pretty good match to end the season.
As long as you don't go to penalties in the semifinals.
Very true.
John, your pick?
I think Omaha's going to win it over Lex. I only think because of how, yes, Omaha lost a lot of guys, but they also have that core still that's experienced. This expanded playoff is going to be interesting, but I think that experience is going to be the key type deal. And also, we haven't had a Shield like the double since Omaha did it, I'm pretty sure. So, and then technically before that, the only real one, according to Omaha fans, would be North Texas in 2019.
True.
So we're either due for another double, or we're due for different winner than the Shield, which I think we're due for a different winner than the Shield.
Yeah.
Nick?
I had Lexington for Shield, so I'm gonna go a little bit off the beat. I think there's gonna be a lot of expectations for Omaha and Lexington to win, and I think a team like the Independents are gonna come in a weird spot in the playoffs and be absolutely weird and come in and sneak in. So I'm gonna shoot the Independents in there.
They have a track record of doing it, man.
Yeah.
Pull a Tormenta.
Yeah.
Just
A little bit of revenge. Once they get back there, they know that taste of making it to the finals, and they know what it's like to lose in the finals.
My question is, can that squad make it to the playoffs? That squad I was breaking them down. All their guys are 30 plus. And I'm just like, are they gonna be like, will they have the energy and the legs? Yeah, it's a little shorter season to like make that run again.
That's true.
While we're on the topic of them, the 1775 on their crest always throws me off. It's like, no, you weren't founded then. Calm down. Just your town was. Benji, your pick for the winners of the USL League One this year. Do you see a debut season coming off that spectacular?
No, come on. No, I'm not saying that ever.
Hey,
No.
you guys can make the playoffs. You can upset Omaha. It's happened before.
Make the playoffs, sure, but
It's a new ball game once you get there.
I'm really going to be curious to see how these next couple weeks of filling out the roster plays out.
Yeah.
I still just the lack of depth at, I'll call out two positions, center back and striker, is, I'm not going to say concerning because I don't know who's to be named still. How many players could still be named to the squad? 9? That's a lot. So even if that depth is, here's the thing. Can I just go on a little thing for a moment and take all of your temperature about a topic? As you're naming some of these players, it didn't need to be highlighted, but sure. As you were naming some of these players, and I looked them up, this is what is so cool about League One and it probably applies to the championship as well, but like Jordan Skelton, Rashid Nuhu, these players, they pop up. They have these histories, and maybe it's an MLS Next Pro team. Maybe it's they flamed out of MLS. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, they can have one meaningful season in a USL for the USL club, and then suddenly you guys are going, oh, I think they're going to be the defender of the year, like this Jordan Skelton kid. He played for North Carolina FC in 2022, and then won Knoxville last year. And it's like, cool, yeah, he'll be the defender of the year. Like that quickly, a player can assert themselves because the ages of these players I'm finding so consistently, they're 25, 26, coming out of college. And it's like a player for Velocity, who I've looked a lot at, these Missouri State players, Jack Denton, Javier Martin Hill. I'm like, what if they just take off and they kick ass out of their first year out of college? You never know. And then next year it's like they're in consideration for one of these accolades. It's so crazy how quickly you can catch lightning in a bottle in a league like this. And I love that. It's like, where'd this guy come from? Right? And a combination of that fresh out of college, but 25 or 26 years old.
Yeah.
So maybe they haven't played professional soccer a lot, but they've played the sport a lot.
Yeah.
And athletically and in terms of development, they're right at that place where they may catch form, and then it's like they take League One by storm. Or you've got a guy like Romain Métanire, who's like, what are you kidding? 240 appearances in League One and League Two in France, and he's going to be playing in League One. It's really ridiculous.
Hey, America's weird. DBA Drogba played for Phoenix Rising in the championship. That's like the most random.
It's amazing.
Like US, but with League One, we have so much turnover. Like the USL Championship released like 11 newcomers to watch this year. Like 7 of them came from League One.
Well, I brought it up on the podcast. Does everybody know who Ashley Young is?
Yeah.
He's 38 years old. Now, of course, it's a little unicornish, but it happens more than maybe at 38. But like a 34 with modern medicine and sports science, a 34 or 35-year-old who's got that kind of pedigree, they could probably still crush. Like, I won't be surprised if a player of Métanire's background is just unstoppable if he's fit. And I love that about League One. League One's just wild. That's all. I just wanted to say that. It's nuts.
We get players retire. Like, I think it was Lombardi for Red Wolves just like up and retired this last thing, and he was like 26. Pay is still in the questionable world, where I think keeper got like a day job, 9-to-5 day job that paid double what he could do, so he went and did that. Like, we're in this weird thing where like, yeah, you can walk in and just dominate and like take off like Trevor Amon did, or you go be a financial advisor when you're done.
Totally. I can't wait for I want the USL Players Union. They need to publish their wages. I mean, they just need to do that.
Kind of do, but not all the way. We know the minimum.
Right. That if you don't know where that ceiling's at, it hurts. You know, the collective bargaining and everything else just falls in place. I think it would be really beneficial to the league to know that type of thing. But yeah, anyway, it's topic for another day.
I want us to know that. I want them to do like the NFL does and rate the teams, grade the teams, and release those. That I want to know, like, what teams are really like house teams well, feed y'all, take care of y'all, and that's something that should be public knowledge, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll go ahead and move us on here to the new competition that's taking storm in USL League One. It's the Linners and Wosers USL League One Cup. No name yet. I'm just joking. But any shouts
Tiger
for
Bomb?
Any shouts for who we think we'll see a winner here? Are we going to see a treble from Union Omaha, Brian?
I don't have Union Omaha winning the cup. I think they're going to prioritize the actual season and not the cup. The cup winners for me, I think they're just built for something like this. Are Ford Madison.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice. That's a good shout. John?
I think it's Madison as well. They're going to, knowing their club's history, they're going to like make it in. They're like, all right, but we got to win something to add to our closet. So it's not just 40 kits in 4 years or however long they've been around.
clothing brand with the soccer team second.
They literally those like reversible ones. They debuted against us. I literally saw them walking on the pitch at the start of the game. I was like, wait, what? And I would go to their thing, go to their Twitter. It's like, oh yeah, new kit right now. I was like, okay, I finally get this whole like Madison's a fashion brand thing.
Nick, your pick for the cup winners?
I think it's gonna be a team like not as favored for like the actual league title. I think it's so I'm gonna throw in like I think Chattanooga might make some noise. I don't think Hailstorm exactly is gonna prioritize the cup as I think they're gonna prioritize the league more. So I'm gonna throw in Chattanooga to go in there and try to with their sneaky good roster to win some games and bring home some silverware.
And for that reason, it's why I think Velocity are gonna win the West.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wouldn't doubt Velocity actually winning the West.
I think it's just pure coincidence that Nick and I had the same pick here. I also have Chattanooga Red Bulls winning the in-season cup competition, just because I think the mentality is that if they're healthy, they have quality enough young players and quality enough experienced players that they'll look at themselves and say, hey, I think this is our best shot. They're one of the few teams, like you guys mentioned, Forward Madison and Chattanooga, that look at this and say, I think this is our best shot at bringing some kind of silverware back home. And I really like the chances of Chattanooga, squeezing through to the next round and then just playing it game by game. But I don't even want to ask this. Surely none of us think there's a U.S. Open Cup winner in our league, right?
Cup
Maybe.
winner? No. Because we would have to win an historical 8 wins for one of us to do it.
Yeah.
2024 does not have that mandate. Maybe 2025. Let's say this. Who do we – I don't actually – never mind. Forget it. I don't even want to ask that. It's too hard.
Phoenix Rising. That's who I think could be the USL.
Blue City, Phoenix, I think could do it. Will say I think of the teams, I think Omaha and Hailstorm have the best chance to make a little run based on like the C teams around them that would get in the third round. Just the only thing is like Lex will probably have to draw Lou, who's looking good, and I don't know if we could get past them. Y'all Switchbacks, Tulsa, those are a little more the middle, fringe C teams right now. I think y'all could get past those guys.
Yeah. I think NOCO will go the farthest.
Yeah, hopefully Switchback does the same thing they've done the last 2 years in this side. That's the game they want to rotate, and we capitalize. I'm not complaining, a 3-peat, but awesome stadium. That I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up on our individual honors, our team predictions. We had a great chat about the U.S. Open Cup and the introduction of the 11 MLS Next Pro teams, as well as the 8 MLS teams that will be competing. We had a pretty nice lengthy discussion about preseason and just our thoughts there on what's coming ahead for the 2024 season. Again, 3 exciting matches happening on March 9th. That's when the season will kick off. Now, we did go ahead and go around and shared all of our socials and how our listeners and viewers can go ahead and find us online. But Benji, please, one more. You weren't there for that, but could you go ahead and reiterate for all of our listeners and viewers how they can go ahead and find you online and where?
Spokane Soccer Show on Spotify or iTunes, and then Instagram, and then I think Twitter. It's Spo Soccer Show.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And awesome. Well, I really appreciate all of these great fellas joining us here tonight. Also Rob, who had to go ahead and drop out early. Thank you so much, Brian, as always, coming in, bringing in your insight here. John, as always, bringing in your vast knowledge of these little facts that sometimes I don't even know about. So it's really great. And Nick, okay. Well, I just want to go ahead and say thank you so much for joining us. Once again, Benji here, bringing in some insight about all of the Spokane soccer players and what to expect for this season. And as always, thank you so much for Nick with Linners and Wosers, bringing in the NOCO Hailstorm knowledge. I honestly wouldn't want to go ahead and do this soccer thing without anyone else here. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you guys for always wanting to go ahead and join the roundtables and discuss our awesome league, how unpredictable, all the vibes, and it can't wait to start. We're just 2 days away. My name's Riccardo with Linners and Wosers. Thanks for tuning in. Ciao, ciao.